This is the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel Season Long Baller. Happy to have you with us. It's been 2 weeks since we've done a podcast, so we've got plenty of playoff action to get to. Now, if you're new to the channel Season Long Baller, we do these in order to kind of keep you abreast of what's going on in our simulation. Some of it outside of what's going on with our player build, Jaymont Summerz and the Washington Wizards. So we'll go and take a look, starting right now as you're looking at our playoff bracket, and we'll start right up here at the top with the Wizards as the 1 seed, and Toronto won the play-in, won the right as the 8th seed. Chicago, you could say, won the play-in as the 7th seed, and we'll definitely be talking about them a little bit later on. But first, let's talk about the Wizards and their series with the Raptors, who we did not have a problem with the Raptors during the regular season. You may recall last season on NBA 2K23, the Raptors were the only team that won the season series away from us, as they beat us 2-1 last season during the regular season, and we didn't face them in the playoffs. But in Game 1, the Wizards defeated the Raptors 69-59, a 10-point victory there that was pretty much close the whole way, but as you see, neither team really shot incredibly well. The Wizards were okay at 45%, but the Raptors nearly with just a little bit over 1 out of every 3 hitting in the game. And as you see, their 35% was not very good at all. But the Raptors did get 11 offensive rebounds and out-rebounded the Wizards slightly, 36-35. In Game 1, something else to highlight here, Kyle Kuzma was struggling, and that's going to kind of end up being a theme as we go along. Kuzma was 2 out of 11 from the field. Summerz led the way with 20 points, our player build, 7 out of 13 from the field and 3 out of 4 from deep, and that was enough to get the Wizards the victory, 69-59 over the Raptors. Now, Scotty Barnes, and remember, in our simulation, Pascal Siakam is not a member of the Indiana Pacers. The case for us here is Siakam has been injured with an Achilles injury for a good portion of the latter half of the season. He's been out for the season, so basically the offensive onus turns to Scotty Barnes, and he was 4 out of 16 in this game, and only didn't hit from deep at all, as you see, 0 out of 5 from deep. And another name to mention there, actually 2 of them in a row, Gabe Vincent was traded to the Raptors from the Lakers, and OG Anunoby was not traded to the Knicks in our simulation. So again, some of the changes, and you'll notice Precious Achiuwa was also not traded. So you get some of the differences, and part of the reason why we do the podcast to even mention some of the differences in our simulation as opposed to the actual NBA. So in Game 2, the Wizards again in full control, winning the game 80-67, and this time the Wizards shot a just torching 58% from the field, while the Raptors were only 42% from the field. Now, the Wizards, oddly enough, we only shot 9 3-pointers in the game, while the Raptors shot 28, but were only made 11 of them, so just a shade over 39% make attempts on made percentage on those. But again, a 13-point win for the Wizards, and this was led by our career playoff high from Jaymont Summerz with 33 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and career high in points, that is, for the playoffs. 14 out of 20 from the field and 3 out of 5 from deep, and that was enough to get the Wizards with the 13-point victory. And again, as we've talked about with Kyle Kuzma, he had, in 20 minutes, he was only 1 out of 6 from the field for 2 points and was 0 for 1 from deep, as again, the Wizards really didn't shoot many deep threes at all. And we had 5 of those 9, as Jaymont Summerz, again, was 3 out of 5. Scotty Barnes, again, kind of the main offensive performer you would think for the Raptors, was only 2 out of 8 and had 6 points here in Game 2. In Game 3, the Wizards, again, pretty much dominant. 54% from the field, Raptors 40% from the field. So the Raptors have not shot over 40% in any of these games, but kind of managed to hang around in a lot of the cases. As you see, the Raptors were, again, not really hitting from deep. Neither were the Wizards, as the Wizards were 4 out of 16, 25%, and the Raptors were 5 out of 16 for just 31%. But the Wizards get the 12-point victory, 67-55. Kuzma This time slightly better, 4 out of 8 from the field for 9 points. But it was Jaymont Summerz again with 28 points. Not shooting as well from the field, 10 out of 22 and 1 out of 6 from deep. And as we've been doing this whole look here, Scottie Barnes had a much better game as well. Again, still under 50%. Didn't shoot any threes, but was 5 out of 11 from the field and had 14 points. And finally, in Game 4, just a murder here by the Wizards. 83-46. The Raptors shot 35% from the field. The Wizards were on fire, 65% from the field, 12 out of 22 from deep for 55%, while the Raptors didn't even make 1 out of every 5, going 4 out of 21 and 19%. And the Wizards were in full domination mode. Summerz leading the way, our player build. We were 10 out of 12 from the field, only missed 2 shots, both of them from deep, but we were 4 out of 6 from deep, hit both free throws for 26 points to go along with 3 rebounds and 2 assists. And Kuzma probably had his best game of the season shooting-wise, 3 out of 5 from the field, 1 out of 3 from deep, and got into double digits here with 11 points. But it was Deni Avdija with 14 points that was the second leading scorer for the Wizards, and 5 out of 7 from the field. And as you see here, Kuzma with those 11 points. Now, for the Raptors, again, Scottie Barnes kind of struggled from the field, took more shots, but was only 7 out of 16 from the field, 0 for 6 from deep, had 14 points to lead the way. But in this game, it was never really close after the second quarter. As you see, the Wizards outscored the Raptors 28-11 in the second frame, and that basically ended the game there. And the Wizards won, going away 83-46. So, Wizards advance. Now, taking a look at Miami and Cleveland. Miami, the 3 seed. Cleveland is the 6 seed. And we'll just take a quick look at Game 7. And you can see here why the Heat won. 60% from the field, while the Cavaliers were 46% from the field. The Heat, 9 out of 16 from deep. And the Cavaliers were 6 out of 16 from deep. And then the disparity in the free throws, where the Heat were 16 out of 19, while the Cavaliers were 11 out of 16, so they didn't even hit 70% of those free throws, and that was the big difference, and the Heat advanced, unlike the 2 seed, who we will mention in just a moment. And so, taking a look at that bracket again, Philadelphia does advance over Indiana 4-1. I'm a little surprised by that one. Indiana has played pretty well. Obviously, in real life, they've been playing great, but or great in the first round. But in this case here, I thought in this 4-5 matchup, they'd give Philly a little bit more of a problem, but they did not. And Philly takes that series 4-1. So what happened in the 2-7 matchup, where the Chicago Bulls, who were in the play-in tournament, got out of the play-in tournament by annihilating the Celtics in the first game, shot just crazy. If you recall, they were like 80% from the field in the matchup against the Celtics, and I mean that was crazy. They were 21 out of 25 from deep, or 20 something like that. So they were really on fire. Defeated the Celtics, got the 7 seed, and so Bulls Knicks. And here in Game 1, the Bulls struck first. And remember, the Bulls are the 7 seed, and they defeated the Knicks 60-56. And this is despite the fact they scored in single digits in the fourth quarter, got outscored 15-8, but managed to get the 4-point victory. Now, the theme here is the struggles of Jalen Brunson, which is obviously not what has happened in real life in the first round. But as you see here, Brunson was 1 out of 9 in Game 1. And even though Julius Randle, of course, is not hurt in our simulation, without Brunson, I guess the Knicks are just not going to get it done. Here in Game 2, a similar theme with the Bulls and Bulls and Knicks shooting relatively close percentages here, 48% and 47%, both teams under 30 from deep, but the Knicks strike back with the 62-54 victory here in Game 2. Again, highlighting Jalen Brunson. This time, Randle has 13 points, but Brunson was 3 out of 9 from the field in 18 minutes. Remember, we are playing 6-minute quarters, and he only had 6 points. So moving on to Game 3, the Bulls took that one. Again, a 4-point victory, this time in Chicago, 62-58. The Knicks only shot 50%, while the Bulls were slightly better at 56%. And Vukovic, the Bulls center, 9 out of 9 from the field, even 2 out of 2 from deep. That was the big difference in Game 3. And the Bulls, again, got the 62-58 victory. Keeping an eye on Jalen Brunson, however. Brunson a little bit better, but still just 7 points and 3 out of 7 from the field, which was identical to Julius Randle, who had 9 points and also 3 out of 7 from the field. Game 4, the Knicks shot only 37% from the field. The Bulls were a little bit better at 43%, but the Bulls get the victory 50-42. As you can see, they're scoring 11 points in the second, third, and fourth quarters, tallying 11 points. But that was enough for the victory over the Knicks. And the Knicks, as you see, had 5 points in the second quarter. That never helps when you have those low single digits in the quarter. And again, playing 6-minute quarters. But the Knicks get the victory the Bulls get the victory 50-42. DeMar DeRozan leading the way. 7 out of 9 from the field with 17 points. Zach LaVine did have 18 points, but was 4 out of 11 from the field and shot 10 free throws, going 8 out of 10 there. And again, keeping an eye on Jalen Brunson from the Knicks. Only 8 points, 4 out of 10 from the field. Julius Randle kind of returned to form as he's been doing in this series with 15 points. But again, the Knicks are down in this series. Now, Game 5, the Knicks squeak out a 2-point win, and Julius Randle leads the way with 17 points, 7 out of 12 from the field. And that was the big difference for the Knicks in this case. And again, Brunson, 3 out of 6. And that was a big reason, again, probably helping. That's probably Brunson's best game in the series. Also, DeMar DeRozan in Game 5 was 9 out of 14, had 21 points, but not quite enough for the Bulls to finish the series. So, Game 6, back in Chicago, and it's a runaway victory for the Bulls. 72-49, 59% from the field, 44% from the field for the Knicks. This one, not even close. Again, the Knicks only scored 19 points in the first half. The Bulls had a 31-19 advantage at the end of the half and only ran away from there. And that is basically where the Bulls eliminated the Knicks here. And the Knicks, keep in mind, have played well all season in our simulation and were the 2 seed behind us, the Wizards, and also in front of the Heat, who are the 3 seed. As you can also see, the Bulls shot 45% from deep. The Knicks took 19 threes, but only connected on 5 of them. And the Bulls get away with the 72-49 victory. Brunson did have his best game of the series, but he only shot 6 times, going 4 out of 6 for 10 points. And there is the story on how the Knicks were eliminated by the 7th-seeded Bulls 4-2. And I must admit, that was a little bit of a shocker. But speaking of 7 seeds beating 2 seeds, let's go out west right quick. And out west, the Golden State Warriors, the 2 seed, fell to the 7th-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 1, the Thunder with 49% from the field as the Warriors were only 41%. And that's going to kind of be a theme. The Thunder will outshoot the Warriors in all of these games. And Game 1 here goes to the Thunder 60-52. Game 2, again, Warriors shot terribly, 31%, while the Thunder shot close to 50, 24 out of 49, but it is a 59-48 victory for the Warriors. And now the Warriors are going home. The Thunder are going home with a 2-0 lead in the series. Game 3, the Warriors finally get back on track, destroy the Thunder 68-52, and the Thunder only scored 19 points in the first half. The Warriors had that in just the second quarter alone, so we're leading by 16 at the half and ran away from in this one. And actually, that was your margin of victory, really, 16 points. A 68-52 victory as the Thunder shot 45%, 3 out of 12 from deep, so 1 out of every 4 from deep, while the Warriors were 50% from deep and shot 63%. So if you're thinking that all of a sudden Game 4 is going to be the game where the Warriors tie this thing up, no. The Warriors shot 46%, but the Thunder shot 53%. They get an 8-point victory and then take a 3-1 lead in the series while going back to Golden State. And in this case, Golden State gets a 15-point victory to make the series 3-2, shot 42% from the field, but the Thunder were way off, 32% from the field, only 4 out of 7 from deep, and a 57-42 victory where you see the Thunder scored in single digits in both the third and fourth quarter. Now, the Warriors weren't much better, but the Warriors got 11 points and 8 points, so still outscored them in both quarters. So you have a 19-14 second half total, but that leads to a 15-point victory for the Warriors in Game 5. And going back to OKC, you're thinking the Warriors are going to tie this series. No, they're not. The Warriors shot only 37% in Game 6. The Thunder shot 50% even and walk away with a 24-point victory over the 2 seed out west, 68-44. And in this game, you can see kind of the big reason. Steph Curry was 4 out of 12 from the field, only had 11 points, 1 out of 6 from deep. And just like out east, the 7 seed, the OKC Thunder, will advance. And again, that was pretty much a surprise. So now you can look at our matchups. The Lakers did defeat Phoenix 4-1. Minnesota defeated the Clippers in the 4-5 game, 4-2. Memphis in the 3-6 matchup, Memphis, the 3 seed, defeated New Orleans 4-1. And we've already talked about Golden State in Oklahoma City. Now out west too, between the teams that are left, I think I would rather play OKC. Split with OKC during the season. We split with Memphis, but the first game we did not face Ja Morant. In the second game, Memphis blew us out, and that was in Memphis. The Lakers and Minnesota, in that matchup, we split with the Lakers, got pretty much blown out the second time, but handled by Minnesota in both matchups. So if I had to pick a team, I think I would rather play OKC. When we played the Lakers, Anthony Davis was still hurt. He was playing. He had the yellow cross, so he was playing, but you could tell he wasn't moving as well as a healthy AD would. And so I think in that case, I think I would play out of those 4 teams. I would prefer to play OKC, but that's not the way it's lining up right now. At least I'm not sure how this is all going to line up. It's looking good at the moment. OKC is up 2-0 on Memphis. We'll see how that plays out. And the Lakers, of course, are split with Minnesota right now, 1-1. Now, going back out east, as I've already mentioned, all the matchups out east. So you have Washington, that's us, and we're going to talk about the series with Philly here in just a moment. We're up 2-0. The second victory by virtue of our victory yesterday over the Sixers. And then Miami and Chicago. Chicago's still hanging around. Miami is the 3 seed. Chicago has that series even at 1 apiece. And if I had to choose an opponent in that series, then obviously it would be Chicago. We have swept Chicago all season. We split with Miami 2-2. Miami has been an hard out all the time, so I would much rather prefer to play Chicago. So we will see how that plays out. Now, looking at what's going on so far in our matchup with the 76ers, an 84-74 victory in Game 1 in DC. We shot 48% from the field, 14 out of 30, but these numbers do not tell you exactly what happened in this game. Late in the fourth quarter with the score 72-all, the Wizards go on a 12-2 run. Specifically, Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma hits back-to-back threes, and that changes the entire complexion of the game, and the Wizards get a final 3-pointer from us, from Jaymont Summerz, and in that flurry, there's a basket from Joel Embiid, but the damage had been done. Wizards close on a 12-2 kick, and that is really the difference, 84-74. A matter of fact, let's take a look at that Kuzma run. High score here late in the fourth. We'll go screen and roll with Şengün. I get around Embiid, but kick it into the corner to Avdija. Pass to Kuzma. He hits! Wow, Kuzma has not been on in this game, but he hits the 3 there. And now with 1:32 to go, Wizards up by 3. Ended up being the good pass as Avdija swung it. Oh man, I have left Maxey wide open on the baseline. I got lucky. Maxey missed that. Avdija gets the rebound. Avdija's been rebounding well in these playoffs. Avdija dribbling up top. Wright was open coming on the curl, but getting around Beverly. Kuzma comes off the curl and nails back-to-back threes. 6-point lead for the Wizards on the strength of back-to-back threes from Kuzma. Kuzma came up top, got a straightaway 3. Maxey down to Embiid. Embiid is deep. He misses, gets his own rebound, and dunks in Şengün's face. And that puts the lead at 4 for the Wizards. You see the Wizards shooting 46%, while the Sixers are shooting 78%. We'll go screen and roll with Kuzma. He's the hot man right now. Coming downhill against Maxey. Pass to Kuzma. He's wide open. He nails it again. Kuzma's on fire here in the fourth quarter. Kuzma, who had not been shooting great in the entire series, or actually in the entire playoffs, explodes there and is the difference again. A 12-2 finishing run. So that game, even though 84-74 is your final, that game was a lot closer than that. As you can see, Jordan Poole was actually the leading scorer. That's right, not us. With 21 points, going 6 out of 12 from the field, all 6 makes from deep as he went 6 out of 10 from deep. We had 16 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. And Kuzma had 13 points, and 9 of those came in the fourth quarter in that flurry. Now, in game 2, the Wizards were a little bit more dominant, winning 94-79, which really looks like a statistical anomaly when you look at it, because the Sixers were 56% from the field while the Wizards were 55%, but yet it's a 15-point victory for the Wizards. The difference, the Wizards were 17 out of 20 from the free throw line, while the Sixers only shot 8 free throws and made 6 of them. So game 2 goes to the Wizards. Another difference here in game 2, offensive rebounds. Now, again, this is something that was going to concern me during the season or during the series when you're playing against Joel Embiid. And remember, our Embiid is not hampered with the knee injury or Bell's palsy at all. Embiid healthy in this series and has been doing his thing, but we controlled the glass with 8 offensive boards to the Sixers 4 and out-rebounded the Sixers 32-27 so far in game 2. Summerz leading the way with 22 points, had 9 assists, 7 out of 13 from the field, 3 out of 8 from deep. And you'll notice that Kyle Kuzma also was not bad in this game, 4 out of 6, 0 for 1 from deep, and had 8 points. For the Sixers, as I was mentioning, Joel Embiid was doing his thing. 26 points, 11 out of 17 from the field, 1 out of 1 from deep, and had 9 rebounds as well, leading the Sixers in rebounding. Tyrese Maxey, 8 out of 17. So the 2 big guns from the Sixers took a majority of the shots, taking 34 shots between them, hit most of them, scored 20 points. Maxey scored 20 points, and they had 46 of the Sixers' 79 points. But it wasn't enough as the Wizards scored 94 points. So, taking a look at what we've got coming up, Game 3 will be Wednesday in Philly. As the Sixers try to get back into this series, it's 2-0, of course, in favor of the Wizards. Miami and Chicago are tied at 1 apiece, and as we've mentioned out west, the Lakers and Minnesota are tied at 1-1 in the 1-4 matchup, and Memphis is trailing OKC right now 2-0 in that series. And keep in mind, Memphis was the team we played in NBA 2K23 in the West in our NBA Finals, and we defeated them 4-1. So we are the defending champions, as you could say, in our simulation. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Season Long Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you on Wednesday when we take on the Sixers in Philly for Game 3. That should be a good one. So far, both of these games have been pretty good. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. That's it for Season Long Baller. Peace.